and welcome to Inside the WSL. Joining me this week is former Brighton defender Fern Whelan. Fern, you've been busy. You've been at the FA Cup final. You've been part of our live WSL coverage. I'm glad you managed to squeeze us in. Good to see you.
It's been busy, but yeah, thank you for having me on today.
Great. Now, in a moment, I'm going to be leaning on your defensive expertise. But first, let's see what else is coming up on the programme.
And then you can still nick a yard with like a bubble step, but then also you can still, whilst you move it, I can still be balanced to go to the left, to the right.
Now we're getting into the nerdy detail. As a female goalie, we can't really have that huge, big reach, so we have to work with our feet.
Defenders are intelligent, but we're a different kind of intelligent.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying attackers aren't intelligent. I just feel like we have to, you know, as they say, attackers win games, but defenders win championships. Yeah.
Yeah, so lots to come on the programme. But first, we have to talk about Chelsea. It's the end of an era for Magdalena Eriksson. She's leaving the club at the end of the season, Fern. We've just got the news in the last couple of minutes. What did you make of this?
I know, I mean, you know, it'll be a big loss for Chelsea for sure. She's been the stalwart, she's been at the centre of the defence, obviously she's been there 6 years. So it's going to be a massive, you know, big hole to fill in the centre of their defence. I think she's been fantastic and influential on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. So being that real leader, bringing the younger players through. You can see how Niamh Charles has developed just alongside her. So yeah, I think she'll be a big loss to the team, but obviously the way Chelsea recruit, I'm sure they'll be able to fill it. Yeah,
she was very emotional in her goodbye video. She's going to be a big loss to Chelsea. Best of luck to Magdalena Eriksson and wherever she ends up. But let's talk Chelsea now, because since they got knocked out of that Champions League, they've won every game. They've been scoring goals for fun. They're now, you know, in prime position for the title race in the WSL, and they've won an FA Cup. Emma Hayes spoke about the possibility of some mental fatigue. We didn't really see that in their last game against West Ham. Does it show any signs of them slipping from the title race slipping from their grasp?
No, to be honest, no. I think they were re-galvanised yesterday. They were like a different team from the FA Cup. As Emma said, they looked a bit sluggish at times in their approach on Sunday in the FA Cup win. And I say win because they still did win even when they looked sluggish. But obviously, in yesterday's game against West Ham, Emma made 7 changes to the starting 11. So just shows the strength and depth in the squad that she can turn it around that quickly in the middle of the week, and then knowing they've got a game coming up at the weekend against Arsenal.
The mastermind behind it all is Emma Hayes. When you look at her major honours, she's won pretty much everything apart from that Champions League. But winning that FA Cup was her 12th major trophy since she joined Chelsea Women. What an incredible manager she is. What is it about her that makes her so successful?
For me, it's the whole package. So she talks about in her interviews the other day, we recently heard they had a sleep coach come in, and you know, they seem to be ahead of the game in everything that they're doing, really. So recruitment, and when Melanie Leupolz was having her baby, the lengths they went to within the club to make sure that she was supported, and she came back within 4 months of giving birth. So, you know
how hard that is.
And I know how hard that is. I'm still trying to come back now. So yeah, I think it's just the way, you know, her management of players, the way she talks to her players. I get the feeling she communicates with them really well, especially around to be able to keep that many players happy and having to rotate. And they're not just any players, they're top quality players as well.
Well, exactly, you mentioned that. And you know, Sam Kerr, when she signed in 2019, she could have gone anywhere. Every club wanted her. But she came because, in part, she wanted to work with Emma Hayes. How big a part has Sam Kerr been to that success at Chelsea? And could Chelsea have achieved all of this without her?
I don't think so. I think the way she's been over the last couple of years, she's really grown into the league. And we're seeing it more in her performances now, that it's not just, it is goals she's providing, but actually this season, potentially without Pernilla Harder up top with her, she's had to do a lot of the groundwork herself, and she's really showed different qualities to her game. And I think we saw her in the FA Cup on Sunday, she will just pop up with that winning goal. I think Manchester United at half-time were probably rubbing their hands, Millie Turner, May Letizia, thinking she's only touched the ball 9 times, I think it was. but you can't. It's the whole game. She will stay in it right until the final minute. She did it for the FA Cup win. She did it against Liverpool the other week when they were 1-1 right towards the end, 86th minute. Sam Kerr pops up and scores. So she's a match winner. She's winning games for them and she's scoring big goals. And yeah, I don't think they could do without her.
Yeah, what an incredible signing she has been since she's been at Chelsea. We're going to stay with Chelsea now because we've actually brought the goalkeeping union back together. We sent former goalkeeper Carly Telford down to the training ground to talk to the current goalkeepers Ann-Katrin Berger and Zecira Musovic.
How did you both get into goalkeeping?
It wasn't planned at all. I started as an outfield, and then our goalkeeper, she was sick one game, and I got in goal, did a decent game, and I felt like I really enjoyed just being at the back of the whole team, seeing
and not in front and centre like usual, no?
No. So yeah, that's how I got stuck there.
Nice. I hope you thanked her, by the way, for being sick.
I was a striker for a very long time, like till I was 16, and then I loved the game, but I hated the running at some point.
Yeah, I agree.
And then our goalkeeper, she had just quit, and then we had to rotate, and then I just loved it from there.
Here you are, both pretty much big winners. What's the goalkeeper union like here at Chelsea when you're both required lots of different stages?
I always needed the pressure to get to the next level, and I think that's our relationship.
Yeah.
Like even small little games, we both
competitive.
Yeah, we both
Nobody wants to lose.
And I think that is really helpful for me especially.
Yeah. In Anne specifically, I think the competitiveness, you get that out from me, and I think like the focus that we create together, I think in training is amazing.
So let's get into the tactics. How do we keep the ball out of the net, and what's our thought processes to make that happen? Okay, let's go.
I need to get out from and leave my goal, slow you down. I want to make the game predictable. I want to make your next move predictable without giving you too much advantage in the situation. So I need to come out, slow down, still be in balance with everything I do. If I wanted to that side, I would open up a little bit.
Okay. So at this moment, I think, oh, there's a nice gap there now.
Yeah, exactly. You can just run past me. But when you take that touch, either I will lunge and make a spread safe if I feel that I'm close enough, or I will pick to follow you. To control the situation even more. Like if I have, I will follow, and then in the right moment, right angle, I will use the block.
Thanks, guys. Okay, let's move on to an angled one now.
If you're coming from an angle, it's so much easier for me as a goalkeeper.
The bobble steps, what is that? Because Zecira's talked about being balanced, so like you say, not flying out.
You know,
so if
when
I'm
you're
running,
coming out, you're doing that.
Okay.
And then you can still nick a yard with like the bubble step, but then also you can still, whilst you're moving, I can still be balanced to go to the left, to the right, because when you just walk it and you take a touch, I actually have to, that's a longer distance to travel. So when I come closer, then I can still give you, you know what, I can give you that side, but then I can either block, either spread and go in that position, or when you take the touch, a bad touch, I can smother and go like straight at the ball.
So outside the box or around the edge of the 18, pretty central, Guru Wrighton's touched out of our feet, left-footed.
We have one defender.
You've got one defender on opposite side, so she's skinned Millie Bright on this side, Magda's on that side. So just talk me through what it looks like.
Remember that you can play with your defender, so the goal is smaller. So obviously if you have a centre-back there, she actually can almost like block probably this half of the goal. So that's why you have to have a set position where you still can go to that corner, because Guru's left foot is good. But also you have to be ready to go, obviously, to one step and then push.
What's the footwork? What's the handling? Like, is it top hand? Is it bottom hand? Come on,
I think now we're getting into the nerdy details. Because a female goalie, we can't really have that
Huge.
big reach, so we have to work with our feet.
Okay.
Go with this foot, this to move your body to the right direction. A little bit deeper in your
Body position.
yeah. So you can start your push.
Yeah.
Then this foot's come again, and then you can push the ball. And that's like...
I think what we're discussing here is really good for people to give them that insight of what you're actually thinking. It's not accident that you're in those positions. I appreciate you both, and good luck for the rest of the season. Thanks, guys.
Well, I think I've learnt something new today, Fern, the bobble step. Did you know about that?
I learnt something new as well.
I thought that was a dance move. Anyway, so it seems with Chelsea that they don't have a #1 goalkeeper, but both Zecira and Ann-Katrin share the goal. Is that unconventional? Is that the normal way of things?
It's unconventional, but I think in this season it seems to be a bit more common. Other teams are doing it as well. So you see Tottenham Hotspur, they rotate quite a bit with their goalkeepers. Brighton doing the same. Leicester did the same before they brought in Janina Leitig in January, but it seems to be working better for Chelsea. It's not working for the other ones down at the bottom of the table, but it seems to be working for them. And I think, it just brings in that healthy competition within the goalkeepers.
Yeah, you mentioned that competition, and both of them said because they're battling against each other week in, week out, it makes them better goalkeepers. Have you experienced that in your career before, where you're battling someone in the same position as you to make you better?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'd agree. First and foremost, I think it does push you to be able to do that. For me, at Notts County, I played alongside Laura Bassett, and then there was other centre-halves there. Amy Turner rotated in, Sophie Bradley could play centre-half. So we always had that competition for places, and it drove you on in training. It got the best out of you. So when you're...
Is it not too much pressure, though, sometimes as well?
I think we thrive off pressure, though, as athletes. Maybe not everyone, but I think the way, and I think it matters in terms of who your coach is and who your management is. And I think if you refer back to Chelsea and Emma Hayes, you're going to get your opportunity if you are doing well, and that's the experience I had when I was at Notts County with those defenders. It was, if you are doing well, you're going to be rewarded. It's not that it's never you're going to get your opportunity. And I was training against players like Ellen White, Rachel Williams, and it pushes you on in training to have those players. Some
incredible
to play against.
Strikers, right?
You can really show what you're about as a defender,
yeah.
And you can really put yourself up to the challenge. So for me, I think it's great. I think healthy competition is great. Does it affect your stability? In terms of, as a back line, in terms of in front, you're looking behind and your goalkeeper changes all the time. Does that affect your approach? Probably.
Well, how does it affect you as a defender? Someone like yourself that used to work with goalkeepers kind of, week in, week out, how much does it impact your performance when you've got someone you can trust behind you in the goal?
It makes a massive difference, knowing, you can go forward and not have to look back for sure. Like, if I'm in defence and I've picked the ball up, I can be a bit more at risk. I can dribble and drive, and I know I'm going to have my defence cover, but also I know I've got a goalkeeper that's marshalling at Everton. I had Rachel Brown, so work with the best. She was there coaching from behind all the time. She never stopped talking, but it was great. So having that stability behind you, I think, does make a massive difference. And I think with Emma, she's given them the opportunity to play. So it's not like Berger will play all the time and Musovic plays every now and again. They're interacting with the defensive quite a bit, so they know what they're going to get.
Now, Fern, we know you for football, but you used to play netball when you was a youngster, didn't you?
I did. I dabbled a bit, yeah.
What position?
Goal attack, actually, completely different to what I obviously play at football, defence.
You were the one that scored all the goals. I used to play centre, but that was back when I had some lung capacity and mobility.
That's why I never played centre.
Yeah, fair play to you. Well, you played netball when you were younger. You're going to love this because this is the clash of the two Super Leagues. Representing netball is London Pulse's Hallie and Liv, and representing football is West Ham's Kate and Amelie. They had a catch-up with Caroline Barker.
We should actually get out of the way for... Are either of you West Ham fans?
No, I'm an Arsenal fan.
Oh!
Sorry, guys.
She's
right. We were in this season.
I don't watch football.
No, but tell them who you support.
Okay, I don't support a team. I just watch and appreciate the skills. But I do watch my knee. Like, I do support
Oh, well, we just beat him, so that's all right.
Yeah. Glad we started this off so well. Yeah. Was it always netball for you both when you were growing up? Did football ever enter the equation?
I did football.
I did football.
Yeah.
I was at the back because I'm tall. So I was either in goal or just
a
defender. I mainly played in goal, and I didn't like it because I never got to touch the ball. So I was just standing there in the cold, and everyone's just kicking the ball about, and I was just standing there. So I was like, yeah, Mum, don't want to do this. And then she was like, oh, why? Like, you know, me not so much friends. I was like, yeah, but I'm just like in goal, and no one wants to pass the ball to me. And I got really upset, so I stopped playing football because of that. And plus, I play goal shooter. Like, there's a reason. I'm not really. When it comes to stamina and that, I'm not really, you know, when it comes to running, it's not really for me, so...
You want all the glory.
Yeah.
All the glory with minimum effort.
She's a princess.
Like, literally, I'm a
princess.
That's the word. Yeah. I'm a princess. I am a princess.
Was netball a big thing in Denmark?
No. Oh. Like, basically never... I know there was a sport called netball, but I've never seen it played in Denmark. Basketball a little bit, but no netball. I don't know, it hasn't made it to the north.
But did you do multi-skills? Because we always say, like, when you're coming up through the school system here, you get to try a bit of everything, and it actually can go and help you. Was that a thing?
Yeah, definitely. I think our netball is probably handball.
We always get mistaken from handball for handballers.
Yeah.
Like,
really?
Yeah, like, for example, I've told my family members so many times I play netball, and they're like, how's handball? Yeah.
Volleyball, those two. Yeah. My mum used to play handball as well, so she still thinks netball is handball, even though it's not. It is netball. And you've watched. It's a thing like she actually watches it as well. You still think it's handball.
How was handball training today?
I'm like, Mum, it's not handball. Netball, but.
With London Pulse, it was kind of the academy and the younger age ranges came before the pro team, in a sense. With West Ham, and when you were both growing up, were there academies? Were there like places you could go that were close to you as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, it was more centre of excellences for younger age group, and then there was like academies, but it wasn't linked to professional teams. So even if you played in the academy, it was then where do I go after that? It was for different teams. There was, yeah, it was not really like it is now, where they're trying to build more academies so that players can come through to first teams.
It's quite like, well, the system's changed from how it was before, but it used to be like there was a centre of excellence, but it went from like county, then you go to regional, then regional performance academy, and that's where you'd have so many competitions, but you weren't linked to a Super League, and that's where you get like scouted from England. And I'd say both of us kind of got scouted from regional performance academy, and then you get into England, and then that's where you look for your teams that you want to go play for. But nowadays everything's linked to Super League, so you just go through the pathway, and then you see someone who was in the under-21s last year get a trading partner or an actual Super League contract to play in the league. So it's pretty-ish similar.
Yeah.
Like, not too bad.
Do you think London Pulse has helped, because it's talked about a lot in football at the moment, and the FA are trying to sort it out to make sure that actually it's closer, that you haven't got to get 5 buses and walk somewhere in the middle of the night to get to somewhere that's close. Does London Pulse help that, do you think?
When I was younger, I had to go to Uxbridge for RPA training, and I lived in North London, like Barnet, and that trek was not it whatsoever, especially because my parents didn't drive, so I had to get like 3 trains or try to get a lift with someone.
You've sort of seen the real shift in, I'm not saying you're old.
I am.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not. But you've seen the shift, haven't you, like in the women's game? And there probably were players that fell by the wayside just because of that accessibility.
Massively. There were players that much better than me, and other players that have kind of stayed around and made it professional. It's just the accessibility, isn't it? It's not everyone's fortunate enough to travel. I mean, you've gone off your own back and travel, but not everyone has the mentality to do that. Not everyone has the capabilities, the finances to do that.
Have you worked out what positions they'd be good at?
In netball?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Go on.
I would say...
On the bench?
Not even making the 15.
I would say you give off wing D centre vibes.
Okay.
Yeah, wing D centre. And I would
Explain.
say you give off centre wing attack vibes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was the opposite.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Oh.
I would say centre wing D, because you look like a defender. I'm not trying to hate on attackers, but defenders have a bit of like a...
So you're trying to say we look like flowers?
Well, I would say like you look very like, as an attack, you just look like you could just see where the space is and be able to feed the ball really well into the shooters. Yeah, defenders are intelligent, but we're a different kind of intelligent.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying attackers aren't challenging. I just feel like we have to, you know, as they say, what is it? Attackers win games, but defenders win championships. Yeah. What positions do we look like we would be?
Yeah, well, hate to break it to you, but the goalkeeper is not completely off.
Yeah, like in football, I'd be like centre back.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I just feel like you just clean everything up.
Yeah.
You know, I could rely on you. You just
That is very much
give it to other people,
Yeah,
and then probably like I wouldn't have you as a goalkeeper. I'd have you as like a winger and take people on and just a little bit of flair. No,
Lots of running.
I don't mind that.
Thanks to Caroline for that feature. Now, Fern, we have to talk about the title race before we let you go, because it's been so entertaining from start until now. We've already spoken about Chelsea and how well they're doing, but with United being second in the table, considering they were at the top of the table for such long periods, if they now finish second, is it still a successful season?
I think, personally, if you'd have asked me that at the start of the season, I'd say, yeah, for sure. I think, you know, with the squad they've got and how long they've been in the league, I think they're building on where they have. And it'll be gutting for Mark Skinner if he's been at the top for so long all season and Chelsea come and pip it at the end. And I think if he was to answer the question, he'd probably say the opposite to what I'm saying, because he's set his standards that high and so have the team. But I think the way they've kind of changed this season is they've managed to change the mentality around themselves. And, you know, last season they would have dropped points in games where they've actually turned up and won. The Aston Villa game recently where they scored very last kick of the game at the Emirates, when they did the same against Arsenal away. So they've had some real game-changing and season-turning points. But, you know, if Chelsea were to win it, they obviously would be worthy winners because of the way they've managed to just go about the business quietly and then creep up right at the last minute.
Yeah, going for a fourth straight WSL title. Almost unbelievable, isn't it? We look at Arsenal as well, still very much in the race, but have been hindered by injuries. Should there have been a more robust plan B, considering that they've had so many injuries? Because Chelsea had a lot of injuries to deal with as well, but they've managed to adapt through that tough period, whereas Arsenal perhaps haven't adapted quite as well as Chelsea have.
Yeah, I think they've had to adapt with the players they've got, and obviously adapt the formation in which they're playing. So we were seeing, you know, Jennifer Beattie come in and play right in the centre in the heart of defence, and I think when she's come in, she's done a brilliant job. Potentially, you could argue the injuries they've had have been more long term, so they're season-ending injuries. The minute, you know, Beth Mead, Miedemar, the minute those injuries happen, you know, you've lost them until next season. So potentially with Pernilla Harder at Chelsea, she's out for a long time, but she's now come back and she's making a difference to them right at the final stages. So I suppose you could argue that point as well. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's much of a muchness in terms of the injuries. I suppose they've both recovered in the ways they can, and Chelsea at the end of the day have seemed to still have a bigger and a stronger squad.
And right at the bottom, it's going to be a battle to the end to see which team gets relegated. Reading 2 points adrift. But we've seen a big change in Leicester, haven't we, recently, since Willie Kirk's come in and the way they're performing. Do you think they've got enough now to keep themselves from going down?
I think it's still really tight at the bottom, so I wouldn't want to call it at this point. But I think, you know, what you can say is since January, they've been a completely different team. And yes, it's obviously because Willie Kirk's come in and he's made some fantastic signings. Obviously, for me, the goalkeeper was the main one that they needed before Christmas. They were leaking goals where they shouldn't have done and lost vital points because of it. So Leitzig's come in, done a fantastic job. Willie Kirk's turned the team around, the professionalism's increased. And in terms of the teams that are around the bottom, their form actually tops that kind of little bottom half table. And for me, Reading have always been that team that you can't write off because they stay in games right till the end. We've seen them do it against Leicester in the first half of the season. But I think what they need to do, or what they haven't done as well so far over the last couple of weeks, is keep hold of the leads. Yeah. They've scored really early on in games, and then they just can't keep hold of the leads that they're creating. So, you know, it's still really tight at the bottom, and this weekend's game, Spurs and Reading, is huge. Yeah,
a massive game. It's live on Sky. We've got a massive game as well this weekend. It's the Manchester derby, United taking on City. You can catch that live on Sky Sports. And then on the Saturday, the 27th of May, all the action from the final day of what's been a very entertaining WSL season. That's live on Sky Sports for you as well. That's almost all the time we have left here on Inside the WSL. Fern, it's been great to speak to you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Come back soon. Enjoy the rest of the season, won't you? But now we want to turn our attentions to Mental Health Week. Our colleagues at Soccer Saturday have put together this feature, and it involves Paul Merson and Abby Davies sharing their powerful stories.
Well, it was extraordinary. Everybody wanted to be me, and everybody wanted my life, and I was the only one who didn't want it.
Anorexia made me believe that that's all I needed in my life. So I lived purely to satisfy it.
Everybody I ever met, I always wanted to be someone else. Not a nice way to be at all.
I was told that I could die at any moment, and I didn't really care.
I'm Dr. Ed Burns, a consultant psychiatrist working at the Priory Hospital in Roehampton. People, when they're at their very lowest ebb, when they have been abusing alcohol or drugs or engaging in other risky behaviours that really are putting their lives, their relationships, and everything about them in serious risk.
Always wanted my life just to be normal, and it was a roller coaster. And then I got to normal and I didn't like it.
Sky Sports Football. Feel it all.